The No Fade channel checking in with a quick video for you dads on how to change the spark plug on your snowblower. This is a Husqvarna ST 230P, but if you have a different model Husqvarna, odds are the spark plug is going to be in the same exact location. Now, if you have a different snowblower type altogether, whether it's an Ariens or a Craftsman, whatever, it's still going to be the same process. The spark plug might be in a different location, but it's going to be the same exact process in terms of steps. I know that the owner's manual for this Husqvarna has absolutely no instructions on how to change the spark plug. So hopefully this video will help those of you who don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. We all have to learn and start somewhere. So first and foremost, what you are going to need for this job, you are going to need a spark plug. Now, I got this spark plug. Now, the book says that you need the F6 RTC spark plug. Those aren't really easy to find, especially if you're going to go into a Lowe's. You can order them online. There are a number of compatible spark plugs that I have listed here. Hopefully you guys can read that. But any type of Google search will come across a number of compatible plugs, especially snowblower plugs. It's just a matter of making sure that you get one that is compatible. Also, you are going to need a spark plug socket. If you don't have one, I definitely suggest you go out and buy one because these come in handy. You can use these on spark plugs for your lawnmower, for your car, and of course your snowblower. You are going to need an extending arm for your wrench. If you don't have one, you definitely need to get one of these. If you're going to be doing spark plugs on your car, you should probably get a much longer one than this, but this is more than sufficient for the snowblower. Of course, you are going to need a wrench. Optional items that you can use, but you don't need to go out and specifically get, are a spark plug gapper. Now, many spark plugs already come pre-gapped. It's good to have one just to check. Again, if you don't have one of these, don't go out and buy one. It's not really worth the hassle. Those spark plugs are going to work just fine by just plugging them in right out of the package. Also, dielectric grease. This we're going to be using, but again, if you don't have it, it's not necessary. It just helps protect the spark plug in the spark plug shoe or the cap that goes over the spark plug, and anti-seize. This is going to help make sure that the spark plug comes out at a later date without having to be forced. Again, if you don't have it, don't bother getting it, but if you have it, definitely something you should use. We are on the left-hand side of the snowblower as a reference. This, where my finger's pointing, that's the back, that's where you would be standing, and that's where the snow comes out of. Right here is the spark plug shoe. This is the cap that goes over the spark plug. You simply pull it back gently and pull it back gently. It's easier, obviously, with two hands to reveal the spark plug. Now we're going to remove this spark plug as gently as possible. We don't want to force it. If it should break in there, we're really in trouble. We shouldn't have any issues, but just be careful. Don't just yank on it. Try to go again. Less effort is better. So there is the spark plug. Obviously pretty dirty. This is a 5 or 6 year old snowblower up here in Massachusetts. So the winters are pretty bad, all things considered. Definitely time to change this thing out. If you have a spark plug gap mechanism, you want to gap the spark plug, which is to make sure that the space between the spark plug is as it is spec'd, which in this case is 0.3. And as I guessed, you guys can probably see that, as I guessed, this spark plug and most spark plugs already come pre-gapped correctly. And this one is already set. So again, if you have one of these, it's good to just check, but you don't necessarily need it. We're going to take the new spark plug, and if you do have anti-seize, we're going to put just a little bit on the threads. Just a dab, not much, goes a long way, and it's actually going to spread out as you thread it in. This, again, the anti-seize is going to prevent it from locking into place when you put the spark plug in and it stays there for a couple of years. Now, putting in your spark plug is probably the thing you want to take the most time. You do not want to strip or cross thread your spark plug. That is no good. That's no bueno. When you put your spark plug in, you really want to be careful not to cross the threads. So a trick that was taught to me was to place the spark plug in and simply, instead of turning it to the right, turn it to the left until the threads catch. So definitely take your time, and you should hopefully feel it slide right in. When you turn it to the left, it should pop in. And then once that occurs, you can turn it to the right and tighten it up. Okay, so I hand tightened it down. Now we're going to put the wrench on. And before you just start cranking down, you really don't want to over tighten these. You want to put them in, get them snug, and then give them a half a turn once they're snug, okay? You don't want to crank down on them. It's not necessary, and it's not going to do anyone any good. Obviously, if you crank down too much, you have a chance of breaking it. But you don't have to baby it, but just don't go crazy on it. So, all right, so right there it's snug. I'm just going to give it a little more of a turn, and boom, we're good. If you have dielectric grease, this is definitely something you should be using. If you don't have it, but plan to be doing tune-ups on your snowblower, lawnmower, in terms of spark plugs, it's probably something worth getting. I think this tube was only like $2 or $3. You're better off buying the tube versus the individual one-use packets. You're going to take a little bit of this and put it around just this section. A very little bit goes a long way, and you're just going to put it around this section, and that is to protect it when it goes into the shoe. This shoe back on. Be extremely careful when putting that spark plug back in. Because of the angled position of the spark plug and the narrow opening, it's extremely easy to cross thread the inner socket. Now, I've done it myself, and it is a pain to fix. So don't break out this ratchet. I want you to hand tighten that spark plug almost all the way in. It should, if it's going in smoothly, it should go all the way or almost all the way in before you actually have to tighten it with the wrench. If you do cross thread the internal socket, one of the ways that I found to fix it, which is the cheapest and probably the easiest, is what's called a back tap. If you just Google back tap on YouTube, you'll come up with it. The spark plug size back tap you're going to need for the Husqvarna snowblowers is 14 millimeters. That is the thread, the correct thread of a snowblower spark plug. Again, 14 millimeters. That's something that most people don't have easily available. So get yourself a 14 millimeter back tap if you do cross thread the internal socket. I hope you found this video useful. If this is your first time to the No Fate 24/7 channel, hit that subscribe button. I am dedicated to helping dads be better parents to their children and still accomplish their own personal goals. If you've come this far in the video, definitely give it a like. And as usual, thanks for watching. Don't save anything for the trip back.
I am dedicated to helping you dads be great parents to your children and still accomplish your own personal goals. I post tips and tricks to save you dads time, energy, and money. 3 things that are in short supply for every dad out there.